Growth, the process of increasing in size. A feature that is both individual, intrinsic, and throughout nature.
This is going to be so interesting, you know.
This is the moment we have been waiting for.
I'm feeling it now.
What has come before is now consigned to the history books. This new decade brings new challenges, new rivals, falling giants, and new beginnings.
Bang, bang, bang! 3 shots to the heart.
Oh,
in the back end.
Oh no!
Those who are climbing will meet. Who will fall by the wayside, and who will embody growth.
There's still wheel to wheel!
That is unbelievable.
League of Europe, grow or fade.
How is it going, everyone? Welcome back to the League of Europe. We are here for the 5th round of the season for the PC tier. My name is J. Cole, doing the comms for you guys as always on the PC side. And as I said, we are here for the 5th round this week. We are here for the Spanish Grand Prix. Of course, you've got the calendar on your guys' screen at the moment, just so you can have a look as to what we have got coming up in case you guys are unfamiliar with the calendar. But yes, you can see, of course, as I said, we are at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona for this week, and I'm very much looking forward to this race. We have got 19 out of the 20 drivers for this week. A few, I think there's actually one face that has made a return to the league, and a few things have sort of changed from last week to this week, and I will explain them to yourselves after, well, when we get straight into the qualifying session. But as I said, you've got the calendar on your guys' screen now, and I'm also just going to take you guys through the standings of how it is all looking at the moment. So, after all of the stewards' decisions of what happened last weekend, Mr. Anchor still remains at the top of the standings. He is sitting on a whopping 101 points, with Syke sitting now in P2. He got promoted from P2 from P3 last week due to, I think it was Mr. D.L. Warren resetting to track. It cost him a place penalty. So Syke moved up to P2 and is now on 66 points. Warren, as I said, he got dropped to 3rd place last week, so he is now on 53 points. Dan is sitting in P4 with 38, with Lawmans in P5 on 22. Again, not here tonight, however, so unfortunate for him. He may potentially be losing that full-time seat of his. Black Panther sitting in P6. He is on 21 points, tied actually with the racing point of Coop Jensen. He is also in 7th on 21 points. Vallejo making his full-time seats, I think it was at Bahrain. Unfortunately not scoring any points there, but he is sitting in P8 on 19 points. E2 is sitting on 18 points in P9 with Gilzo, the Irishman, rounding out to the top 10 on 10 points. Bree is sitting in P11 with 9 points. Frey in 12th with 8. Graham in 13th with 5, who unfortunately isn't here tonight. V5 is sitting in P14 with 4 points. I don't know why I thought it said 5, sorry. Bones tied with him in 15th on 4 points as well. Groundsy, who just made his debut last week, who's now actually in the full-time in the Red Bull, replacing Jonathan. He is sitting in P16 with 3 points. Extended, I have Frenchman picking up his first set of points in Vietnam. Unfortunately, DNFing last weekend. I think it was on the first lap, but I think there was a bit of a lap 1 incident that happened at Zandvoort. He is sitting in P17 with 2 points in the standings. And then the ones that have still yet to score any points, unfortunately, are O'Hardy, XC, and now, as I said, a returning driver of Mr. VSR Onyx, who is going to be replacing Graham for tonight. And of course, you can see at the bottom of those standings, you've got 2 new drivers. You've got Syntaxes and you've got Greenpoint. Braga, unfortunately, wasn't here tonight. Cisco, still yet to get the game. Sipos, I'm not too sure what's happened to him, and same with AJB. But yeah, Onyx is making his return for tonight, so some very exciting stuff for all of you. And now, shall we get into the qualifying session? So, what we've got in quality at the moment, you can see Mr. VSR Jacob Syke. He is sitting in P1 at the moment, doing a 14.2. He's actually just besting his Mr. VSR compadre of Mr. Anchor. He could have won the race last week. He did tell me after the race he did get a puncture. So, of course, that's what happened when he did pit on the final lap, unfortunately, for the Brit. But he could have had a win that would have pushed him closer to Mr. Anchor. Unfortunate for him. But, yeah, he's now just currently sitting on pole at the moment with a 14.2. Mr. Anchor is in second with a 14.4. Dan, or XL Ling, he's sitting in P3 at the moment with a 15.3. You can just see how much the VSR lads are just, well, how different they are in comparison to the majority of the grid as well. In P4 at the moment is Mr. Ilati Black Panther, the Belgian. In fact, he's gone out on another lap at the moment. He's sitting with a 15.5. Vallejo in 5th with 15.8, with Vitendu in 6th at 15.9, the same as Sven. Coop is sitting in P8 with a 16.4, with Frey in 9th on a 16.8. O'Hardy is in 10th with a 17.2, although I'm assuming a lot of these guys are going to try and go for some various strategies, because I know Spain, it's a soft to hard, and I know people have done soft to hard. However, it can be a little bit of a difficult soft to hard from what I think I've seen from another league. I think it was PSGL, if I'm not mistaken. I think there was quite a few of the top guys there that were trying to do the one stop, and quite a few of them got punctures, unfortunately. I know that's on PS4, but it can still happen even on PC. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sit on board with the Finn of E2 on a lap for you around the Catalunya circuit. So there you are, E2 taking us around the lap for the Catalunya circuit. He has emerged into P8, doing a 16.2 on the set of the softs. I know he's going to want to improve from that one. Let's go on board with, I'm just trying to see who's possibly going to be the next one across the line. It looks like it might be the Irishman of, no, it's not the Irishman of Gilzo. It is in fact the Belgian of Black Panther, who is up on his time. Has he jumped down? No, he has not. He's only done a 15.4. He has improved by about a 10th of a second on his time. Now I've got the two Alpha Tauris that are just making their way either up to the line or setting their time, as we have got yellows. Is that Bones? It is. He's slowed right down. He's only done a 21.9, so that's obviously going to be a bit of a banker lap for the Brit himself. Let's see, who can we go on board with? Who's sort of relatively close to the line? Can't see anybody. I know Jake has just started his lap and he's already invalidated his lap, unfortunately, so he is going to either try and maybe go again, or, well, I'm not too sure what he's supposed to be going to do. But we've got majority of the guys out on track already. There's only 3 guys that are yet to set a lap so far, those being Warren, Gilzo and Onyx. Now that obviously Onyx has also joined the league, or has rejoined the league, I know that he was well, to start off with, he wanted a full-time seat. Unfortunately, I think where he didn't sort of show up in a pre-season race, he sort of gave him like a reserve seat. He is the first reserve, but I think because Lawrence has now not showed up, he will more than likely get that Williams seat. So we look like we're going to have a bit of a VSR team in, or VSR rivalry with him and Jake, both being in the Williams, so that'll be interesting to see. But I am going to very much look forward to what is more than likely going to go down in that Williams team. Just looking on board at the moment with the newbie of Sven. As I said, this is his second race. Last week made his debut at Zandvoort. Not exactly a track I know a lot of people would want to make a debut, but he's just making his way around our final chicane now. He was up on his time ever so slightly on a set of the mediums. What is Sven going to set? It's actually down on his time. I think it was where he was making his way up towards the final chicane. He just had a bit of a dodgy moment. It's just sort of sent him, and unfortunately, just it happened his lap. So unfortunate for him. Right on board with Mr. BDG Warren. I just also want to say congrats to him for getting into the BDG team. I know that is quite a bit of an elite team at the moment, so congrats to him. As one of the other elite teams on VSR, Mr. Anchor takes pole position so far. We have still got 6 minutes left to go of the qualifying session. As I said, at the moment, it's a bit of a mixed strategy. A lot of guys opting to go for the soft tyres, but there's a few outliers that are opting to go on a set of the mediums. As I said, we're going on a set of the softs. It can be a little bit tricky to try and get them to the set of the hards, but it is definitely doable. You've just got to be sort of really careful on your tyres. But Warren, that's not where he wants to be. He set a 16.4 on well, for his first lap. Again, as I said, that's not where he wants to be. Was just about to go on board with Gilzo, but he's made his way into the pits, so we're not going to bother with him. We're going to bother, though, with Frey as he's making his way around the final corner and up towards the line. Where is Frey going to go? He actually slots himself up into P5. Well, not Bree, that was just behind him. He slots himself up into P6 on a set of the mediums. And I've also just realised Dan has gone into P3 on a set of the mediums as well. He's done a 15.3. So these guys that are on a set of the mediums, I'm thinking, I don't think Dan's going to go out and do another soft, like a soft time. So these guys that are going on a set of the mediums, I'm intrigued to see where they're going to come out, as Onyx is making his way around to the final chicane. Although I think he's coming into the pits, or he's going to be starting his actual lap. No, he's just making his way around the final corner with those sets of mediums, and he's actually gone up into P15. So he is, well, I'm looking forward to seeing how this last 3 minutes are going to go off the session. As you can see, multiple cars are now making their way out of the pit. XE's just made his way out behind Onyx, as you've just seen on your screen, along with E2, the Finn. Both of those guys are wanting to try and improve, both being the first two out on track to get their final laps done. So we'll keep on board with the German and the Finn to see how they do progress through. But more what I was saying before. So, as I said, with Lawman's not showing up tonight, we're more than likely going to get Onyx in to the full-time in the Williams. I sort of had a little bit of a discussion with him, that so he is aware that he will more than likely get a full-time seat in the Williams. And then, as I said, we've got a couple new guys that are in the league. Unfortunately, they're not racing tonight, because I think they gave them a little bit too short notice to see if they are able to race tonight. But yeah, as I said, it's just a matter of waiting for maybe, well, I highly doubt anybody is more than likely going to drop out. I hope not, fingers crossed. But you never know what sort of can go on. But, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. And so far, I've got to admit, it has gone pretty well, as Bones just left the session, interestingly enough. Try and get him back in really quickly. In fact, he's actually lagged off of the game. So his game must have just crashed, unfortunately, for the Brit. I have sent him another invite, so hopefully he can get in. If he does need one, he'll more than likely just message me, just ask him for one. But yeah, we're right on board with Exy as he's just making his way up towards turn 1. The teammate of Bones going through turn 2 and 3 went a little bit too wide, I think, going out of turn 2. So it might have, we'll say it might be down on his time. He is down just by 10th on his time, as there are yellows. I think that's just Black Panther just letting, I believe it's Sven through. But yeah, now making his way around up to the little chicane where I know a lot of people can have, or it loses a lot of grip because it's quite a quick switch going uphill. So, and especially there as well, the turn, I think it's turn 9 uphill right-hander that everyone does love to go through, because I think this year it's mostly flat out to try and go through. So yeah, it's a bit of a dodgy one, that one. But also the turn 11 little bump corner. Now I know it's a lot better than what it was since last game, but as you've just seen from X's point of view, that can still chuck you. And that's not something that you want to happen, as actually he's made his way into the pit, so he is not going to be finishing that lap. However, the Finn of E2 is making his way around the final corner, and this is looking like it could be a very good lap from him. He does, slots into P3 and do a 15.2. So good lap from him. Now, let's see, who can we ride on board with that is on a current lap? Let's go on board with Black Panther, as he is just a little bit further up the road. In fact, Sven is also just up ahead of him, so we'll keep our eye on him. Gilzo is also the only other one that is yet to set a time in the session. So hopefully he can get that one done and doesn't actually have any sort of invalidations, I suppose. But Black Panther, I think he's just backed off of his lap, so we're right on board with the Irishman, because as I said, it's going to be his first lap that he's about to set, so we'll stick on board with him. But I'll try and invite Bones once again really quickly, just whilst we are on board with Gilzo. Hopefully he can get in the session ASAP. As I think a lot of guys are starting to back up towards the final chicane, but I don't know if they're going to realise that Gilzo's on a fast lap, although it looks like they'll be well out of the way in time for Gilzo to come across the line, as he's going to set his only lap time on a set of the mediums. Gilzo now just making his way around the final corner. What is the Irishman going to do on these sets of mediums? He goes and does a 16.0 and slots himself into the top 12. So Gilzo, the best that he could only do was in P12, as O'Hardy just coming across the line as well. Only 6 thousandths behind Gilzo on the set of softs, so very close actually between 11th and 14th. They're all split by 0.04 of a second, so very, very close between all of those guys. And I can see P5 has just invalidated his lap, so he's either going to be going for another lap or he's going straight into the pits. It's looking like he's going straight into the pits, so unfortunate for him, as Black Panther has just retired from the session. In fact, he's actually binned it. Interestingly enough, like I said, at that chicane, it's easy to lose it there, and that's exactly what he has done. As E2 has also retired from the session, he's also binned it, and then his teammate has just retired in the pit lane. But you know what? Who's further up ahead that we can go on board with, as Onyx has just, I believe, started his lap, if I'm not mistaken. But Dan is currently on a lap. He's done a 15.1 on a set of mediums. So things could be looking very good for Dan. He's not on a lap at the moment, so we'll ride on. We'll keep off with him. In fact, we'll ride on board with Mr. Anchor, the one that our current championship leader, making his way around the tight and twisty curve. As I said, Black Panther has had DNF'd from that one, I think, on a fast lap. But Mr. Anchor currently, is he going to be down on his time, or is he going to be up on his time as he makes his way around at the hairpin? He's only 0.02 of a second down on his time. If he has a very good sector 3, this could be a very quick time. There's a little bit of oversteer going through turn 11 curve. As I said, I know that can catch people out, but it looks like he's managed to maintain that well. Now making his way around to the final chicane, trying and avoiding those yellow sausage curves as much as possible. Now making his way around the final corner and up towards the line. What does the Finn do? Is it on pole position? Is it faster? It is. He's done a 14.1, but is Jake going to be faster? He is up on his time as well. Jake, they have the exact same time. Ah. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. Well. Is that 2 pole positions? That's Jake and Mr. Anchor setting the exact same time. WF Gaming, he makes his way up towards the line. Unfortunately, not an improvement, but Onyx on a set of the softs now. He's making his way up towards the line. Is this a massive improvement? He has just backed off, I believe, so he is going to improve, but he's not in the top 10. So he is starting in P14. He does get a fresh set of tyres, but in P14, that is not exactly where the Dutchman wants to be, especially for his first race back in the league. But, I mean, the top 2 have literally just split the entire field by a second. So they've both set the exact same time. And then literally 1 second, or 1 second and like 2 thousandths of a second, Dan has qualified in P3 on a set of mediums. So that is a very impressive time for Dan. A 15.1 in P3. I mean, he's got to be one you've got to watch out for now coming into a race, especially on a different strategy on a set of mediums, and he's sitting in P3. So, if I'm honest, I think this is Dan's race to lose. If I'm honest, E2, impressive P4 at the moment. Done a 15.2, not too bad from the Finn. Black Panther sitting in P5 as well. I think that's those 2 guys' highest qualifying, if I'm not mistaken. the two NLR guys are Sven and Coop, sitting in P6 and P7. Although Coop as well, again, another one in the top 10 in the set of mediums. The same with Bree in P9. They could play a little bit of a part coming into the race. You never know, you never know. But Frey sitting in P8 and the 15.6, and Vallejo rounding out the top 10, doing a 15.8. And we're just waiting for the rest of the session to just finish at the moment. But Jake just saying that he should have gotten a 13. But that is impressive. The fact the top two are literally got in the exact same time. I think where Mr. Anchor set it first, it made it that he qualified on pole. So that is impressive. The fact they had the exact same time. So there you have it. As I said, final classifications for qualifying. Mr. Anchor and Jake setting the exact same time, but when Mr. Anchor set it first, he is on pole. Dan in P3 on a set of mediums, E2 in 4th with the Sauce, Black Panther in 5th with Sven in 6th, Coop in 7th, Frey in 8th, Bree in 9th, Vallejo in 10th. Etendo gets his fresh set of fresh set of tyres, or the first one to be getting a fresh set of tyres, with Warren in 12th, XE 13th, Onyx 14th, Killzone 15th, Hardy in 16th with V5 in 17th, WF Gaming in 18th, and Bones right at the back of the grid. Not exactly where the Brit wants to be, but I know knowing from racing Bones as well, he is definitely capable of making up those positions. So we'll wait and see how he fares on in the race. It's looking like it's going to be a dry race so far. If it says otherwise in the chat, then please do let me know, as it could make for a little bit more of an interesting race, as I probably suspect that the top two are more than likely going to zoom off. Onyx and Warren may sort of catch up to the rest of the field, although I don't know. As I said, I personally think this could be something for Dan to lose. I know the other guys are going to try and go for softer hard, but at the end of the race, Dan is going to have much fresher hards than what the other guys up in front will have, and potentially looking at puncture territory. So it's an interesting one. It's definitely an interesting one. But now we just wait for the rest of the guys to do their strategies, waiting for the rest of the guys just to pick what they are going to be doing. As I said, soft to hard is definitely doable, but is definitely also puncture territory. Medium to hard, I would say, is more than likely the optimal strategy for what everyone is going to be going on. So I'm assuming everyone outside of the top 10 have gone on mediums. 3 guys haven't. So the only guys that haven't are Warren, Onyx, and Gilzo. So it's an interesting one. Everyone else has actually gone on a set of mediums, so I wasn't expecting anyone outside the top 10 go on a set of softs. Of course, they haven't, so this is a complete mix of strategy from what we're seeing. At least everyone is on a different compound of tyre, and of course Warren, Onyx, and Gilzo are the ones taking a massive gamble. They're probably going to hope that there's no safety car at the beginning of the race, excuse me, and maybe just try and take those hards to maybe sort of around lap 24, 25, that kind of thing. Of course, with the heavier fuel load at the beginning of the race, it's going to be a bit more difficult to try and do that, but maybe either trying to go on a set of mediums at the end where they could probably pit a lap 20, lap 21, or if they want to try and take the softs to the end, yeah, lap 24, I would probably say, or 25 even, would probably be the way that they would need to pit. But again, that's going to be extremely difficult. But I still can't believe the qualifying with these two just literally having the exact same time. Like, that's extremely impressive. Extremely impressive. And I am all for it. But in case you guys are new to the League of Europe, the top 12 are the ones that do get the points. So at the moment, everyone in the top 12 will be getting themselves points. Of course, it is more than likely going to change that top 12 order. But, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how it is going to change. I mean, Warren, the first one on a set of hards, could look to try and do a little bit of damage. And when I say damage, I don't mean getting wing damage. I mean as in getting past people. Please, I just really hope it's going to be a very good race with these lot. And let's see if Jake or Dan, or maybe someone else, is able to maybe take Mr. Anchor from that top spot of the grid. He's won all 4 races so far. So let's see if anybody else is maybe able to get past, or actually able to win this race. As I said, Jake Could have won it last week. Unfortunate puncture at the beginning of the race. It says the 5 red lights are on, but that is not exactly true, as now we are just waiting for the 5 red lights to go out. And it is lights out and away we go. And look at the start that Jacob's got in comparison to Mr. Anker. He's gone already up the inside, and what a good start from the man in the Williams. Dan's also gotten a very good start in comparison. I think Mr. Anker was just caught sleeping off the start, although swoops it around the outside, a little bit of contact with Jake towards the start, but all managed to keep so clean so far. And I can see that there is an Alfa Romeo in the back that is frayed into the wall already. Unfortunate for the Spaniard at his home Grand Prix, but Black Panther managing to get past E2 in towards turn 3, now up into P4 and just trying to defend that position from the fin of E2, keeping that position very nicely done. Warren already up into P8 and battling his teammate for P7, although there's a bit free wide going in towards turn 5, and that's not exactly what you want to do, but I mean, Warren is managing to keep it around the outside. However, it was Onyx actually getting past the pair of them. Bloody hell. So Onyx moving already up from P14 to P7 very quickly, as Bree unfortunately has spun the first victim of that chicane. As I said, it is a very tight and twisty chicane, but it looks like they're all just running in order at the moment. Mr. Anker did manage to keep first position from Jake, and Dan just managing to keep third position so far. The two guys of Onyx and Warren, they are in for some vengeance. They were not happy with where they have qualified and are now already up into P7 and P8 from P12 and P14 respectively. So it's a very good start from the pair of them, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to carry on for the rest of the race, because these guys could also be in for a very good, race, as Onyx and Coop are now both side by side leading up in towards turn 1. Coop is on a softer compounder tyre, so he does get the advantage of braking later, and he's in around the outside as well, but Onyx already through on the other Dutchman in 2P6, and Onyx, he's just on an absolute charge to keep up with those top two guys, as Dan already pulling away from Black Panther as well. He's just got E2 and Black Panther up ahead of him, as there's a little bit of a change going on in the background. Itendu and Hardy both changing positions, although I think there's a bit of a bug at the moment with the standings on the left hand side, so just do give me a minute whilst we wait for the glitch to happen. Surprised they still haven't patched it yet. I thought they said they had, but obviously lying. Another one that I was just going to look at as well was Warren. Of course, moving up from P12 into P8 on the start lap as well was very impressive. But Onyx is on an absolute charge. He's already attacking E2, and Warren struggling to try and get past the racing point of Coop. He's already a 1 second behind Onyx, so Warren is not going to be happy with being behind him, but I suppose it's where he's got to be for now, as I'm going to go back on board with Onyx actually, as it looks like he may try and go for a bit of an attack going in towards turn 1 once again on the fin of E2, as Mr. Anker has set the fastest lap of the race. Jake doing a very good job of keeping up with him, but Dan already losing tabs to him. 2 seconds behind those top two, as now Onyx trying to go down the inside of E2 in towards turn 1. E2 is on the soft compounder tyre. Onyx now trying to go down the inside, as E2 will have the inside in towards turn 2. A little bit of contact between the pair of them, but enough space was given, and Onyx around the outside getting that move done on the Haas of E2. Now in a P5. He's moved up 9 places in the first 2 laps, so Onyx, stellar job, absolute stellar job, and he's now only got Black Panther 1 second up the road, as Exy and Hardy both battling for the final points position, as Hardy's just going down the inside of Exy into turn 4, getting that move done on the German of Exy in the Alpha Tauri. And now I know these guys were having a bit of a battle last weekend. I think it was last weekend if Hardy was racing. I know Exy was having a very good battle with a few other guys, but he's definitely been having some cracking battles, sort of battling for sort of mid to low set of points. But I mean, Exy, he's done well coming into the league as well, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how these guys in the AlphaTauri are going to be doing in the future. But these top two very close together. Jake will now have the DRS on his fellow VSR compadre, as he's just making his way up towards him in towards turn 1. Frey, you can see, is just in front of him. I don't know if he was trying to give DRS to Mr. Anker though, but Jake going down the inside already, and before even turn 1 he goes straight back onto the racing line, getting that move done. So Jake now into the lead of the races. Onyx has also gotten past Black Panther. Onyx is now into P4, and this is where we're going to start to see a lot of overtakes happen, because there's going to be a lot of guys in the DRS. And there's another example, Bones getting past the other Ferrari of WF Gaming, and it looks like it's an AlphaTauri versus Ferrari situation going on at the moment. 2 Italian teams battling it out, as Coop very close to the back of E2, trying to get what his, at the moment, teammate, I suppose, Onyx did on the second lap of the race. But Coop, he's actually on a set of mediums in comparison to E2 on a set of the softs. So these guys' soft tyres, I think they may start to be dying out already. Maybe on this lap, maybe on the next lap, it's going to be starting to die out. But these guys on the set of softs, I'm expecting them to make their pit stop around sort of lap 8, lap 9 to try and get the hard tyres to the end of the race. Again, it's very difficult to do, but that is sort of around the lap you want to be doing that. Just looking towards the back end of the grid, Gilzo all over the back of V5, not able to get any sort of move done. He was the other one that started on the set of the hards with Onyx and Warren. Unlike those two, they've unfortunately, well, he has unfortunately not made that work, as Warren's just dropped down 2 places. There was yellow flag, so I don't know what happened with Warren, but he's now back down into P10. I don't know if he had a collision with his teammate or Vallejo. I'm honestly not too sure. As now Itendu just trying to go around the outside of the Brit to get any sort of move done. Oh, bit of contact between the pair of them. Warren having a half spin. I think it was where Itendu was still side by side of him. He's just sort of expected him to back off, but Warren, he's not going to be happy with that one, as he's now just trying to get some sort of move done once again on the Frenchman in the Haas. As Frey picking himself up, I think that's the first 3-second time penalty of the race so far. And a bit of a battle going on between the two AlphaTauris, a little bit of a team rivalry going on. Bones managing to get past his teammate of Exy, and Bones now only 1 place away from points. As I said, he started at the back of the grid, could potentially look to get some points. As WF Gaming picking up 5-second time penalty. As Itendu, oh no, that wasn't Itendu, that was Bones. Straight into the wall. I just completely commentator's cursed him. I'm very sorry, Bones, but Warren getting that move done on Itendu, and I don't know why Itendu's trying to stick his nose in it, but he's got a bit of front right wing damage. Not too sure where that's come from, but Warren's now dropped 3.2 seconds behind him. But a bit of a battle up towards the front end of the grid as Onyx and Dan, both side by side. Onyx just having that DRS and just on the set of the hards, he's already up to P3. Onyx could be on for an absolute cracking result if he does manage to keep up with those guys on the set of the soft tyres at the moment, as Gilzo made his way up now into P14, getting past WF Gaming. But I don't know what happened with Bones there. I think he just had a massive slide going out of the fast right-hander. I know it can catch quite a few people out if you are not careful, and it looks like he's fallen victim to it, unfortunately. But nonetheless, I'm still wondering, obviously, of course, what happened between BDG Warren and Itendu, as Itendu's actually gone into the grass and lost 2 positions. That front right end plate damage is not doing him any favours, and he's just lost yet another place out to Gilzo. So Exy is now the one who is currently got the final set of points. As WF Gaming very close now to the back of the Hash driver, as in fact we'll go on board of him, but Itendu does have DRS, however, and so does WF, but he's going to have to just remain behind the Frenchman for now. Bones back on another charge. I don't think he got any wing damage from having that spin. I think he just went into the grass, so very lucky for the Brit indeed. But as Onyx, he's just set the fastest lap of the race on the hardest compounder tyre. As Vallejo, the first one into the pits. Now, is he going to try and do a 2-stop strategy? Because I know a 2-stop can be done around here, but I don't know if he's one of them that's going to be trying it, as he's gone on a set of the medium. So yes, Vallejo is doing a 2-stop strategy. Now, we'll keep our eye out on the next lap to see if anybody does follow him into the pits and come in and try and do a 2-stop the same as the Finn in the McLaren. But up front, we still got these two close together, as I did see Itendu pick up a 3-second time penalty as well. Gilzo has actually made his way up into the top 12 now, I think, from where Vallejo has made his pit stop. So Gilzo, I mean, so far it's going very well for the hard runners, as you can see. Look how much Onyx has already caught up to these top 2. I know it's because they have been battling, but Onyx 2.4 seconds now behind these two guys. You can definitely start to see that these soft tyres are starting to degrade quite a bit. I mean, there's Onyx just literally, as you've seen him coming around the I usually call it a penultimate corner, but the corner just before the chicane, as these two still have not yet to come into the pits, as Mr. Anchor does have the DRS on Jake, but not exactly close enough to get any sort of move done. Onyx trying to replicate what he did back in PSGL. I think he, from what I saw on Twitter, he was starting at the back of the grid, so some sort of qualifying ban, and made his way up into P3. He's trying to replicate that this afternoon, but instead of going into P3, he's trying to take that win from the other two VSR lads. It is a VSR 1, 2, 3 at the moment, but in what order is it going to finish this way? As there are more yellows in Sector 1, that is WF Gaming, unfortunately spinning at turn 2, and half of his wing has been completely chopped off. So unfortunate for the Dutchman, he's just trying to sort of get himself back on the track, as he's just got himself a 10-second time penalty and letting Vallejo through. But it's a bit harsh to give him a 10-second time penalty for that. But I suppose the game's got to do what the game's got to do. Gilzo very close to the back of Exy. I think he was, well, it looked like he was going to eye up a move, but unfortunately had a little bit of a half spin. Now, this is one we could see having a bit of a change. And this is what I'm saying about the soft tyres. Look, Onyx already 7/10 behind Mr. Anchor, as Mr. Anchor actually coming into the pits. Are we going to see anybody else coming into the pits? I think Black Panther's just making his way into the pits. He is indeed. Anybody else on the softs? Yep, Sven is E2. E2 has come into the pits as well. Anybody else behind them? No, they're the only guys that are left on the set of the softs. So Jake trying to get some sort of overcut done on the fin of Mr. Anchor. So let's see if it is going to work out for him. Onyx is now only 1.5 seconds behind Jake. And I think what Jake wants to try and avoid is giving Onyx any sort of DRS just to help him get closer to him and possibly getting a jump on him when he does come in for a fresh set of either mediums or soft compound tyres later on in the race. As Black Panther picking himself up a 3-second time penalty. Is actually WF Gaming has retired from the session. He has come in and has called it a day, unfortunately for him. Sitting down in P18. Yeah, very unfortunate for him. But Mr. Anchor, he's stuck in quite a bit of traffic. He's stuck behind O'Hardy, and that's not where he wants to be, as he has already got the DRS and already going to get the overtake done before going into the hairpin. I think O'Hardy didn't want to try and fight that too much, but that has held up Jake, as Jake now made his way into the pits. Is Jake going to be able to get some sort of overcut done on Mr. Anchor, as he's just making his way up towards the final chicane and coming around, coming up to the final chicane now, as O'Hardy and Gilzo are both very close together. But where has Jake come? In fact, he's only just coming out of his box, so this is going to be very tight, but I think Jake might have gotten the jump on him because of Mr. Anchor being held up so much. There is Jake in the background of your screen. Has Jake managed to get that jump on Mr. Anchor? He has, and by quite a bit of a margin as well, 1.2 seconds. So that is going to be huge for Jake, because I know that he's not going to have Mr. Anchor in his DRS. He's going to possibly, well, I mean, he's going to try and shoot off away from Mr. Anchor and just try and zoom down the road, but Mr. Anchor has gotten that DRS on him. So Jake maybe just trying to push a little bit more or try and get out of that DRS zone. But Onyx is now taking the lead of the race at the moment. And of course he's going to go on a softer compound towards the end of the race than what these two are currently. And it's going to be a lot better for these guys at the end of the race. Oh, it's going to be a lot better for Onyx at the end of the race, because he will be having fresher tyres, less fuel, so it'll be less degradation. So Onyx could very well be on for a win. And Dan as well, I also just want to point out him and Coop on a set of the mediums. In fact, the only 4 guys that have yet, I think the only top 4 guys have yet to come in. Mr. Anchor and Jake have also come in, but then Gilzo, Hardy, Exy, V5, Bree and Bones have yet to come in. And speaking of that, Hardy, in fact, going into the pits already on a set of mediums, so he's going to be trying to take those, he's going to try and do what the soft runners are doing and try and take the hards to the end of the race from here. As Bones eyeing up a move on Bree. This is for a P10. Bree trying to keep it defensive on the inside. A little bit of a lock up from the Maltese man, but Bones not able to get any sort of move done. Bree doing a very nice defensive job on him, but you can see that that Bree is very low on ERS. That red flashing light in the back, he is only on 5% compared to Bones, who's sitting on a whopping 50% ERS. Bones just not trying to attack him as of yet, but now you've also got Black Panther coming up to the back of these two, and I don't think the Belgian is wanting to stay behind these guys for too long. I think he's want to try and get any sort of move done as soon as possible to try and get the best possible result for himself, but he's got to try and play it right if he wants that best possible result, as Bones just started to drop off quite a bit from Bree. Bones being a little bit more cautious going up that hill, as now Black Panther trying to go down the inside of Bones in towards the hairpin. A little bit of contact between the pair of them, and well, that's that move done already for the Belgian. I said he wanted to try and get past ASAP. He's done exactly that and is now already up into P11 and approaching the back of Mr. XL Brie, the Maltese in the Mercedes. Further up ahead though, the battle for what I will say is the net lead of the race. Currently, only 4 attempts in it, but I'm just trying to see. I'm on the wrong one with it. The pit stop between him and Onyx, 20 seconds. So Onyx is actually going to be around this battle when they come out, or when he comes out of the pits. And in fact, it's looking like that lead is actually growing. So Onyx is still doing... it's still going quicker than what these two guys are at the moment. And he's already... Well, he started on those set of hards. Already 11 lap old hard tyres. Very interesting. Very interesting. But I think these guys' medium tyres are starting to give out a little bit more now as Warren all over the back of them. And as I say that, yeah, Dan straight into the pits. Does Coop follow suit? He does indeed. So Coop into the pit lane as Warren will now inherit P2 as V5 and XE both changing positions as Gilzo. I don't know what's happened to him, but he's well off the circuit. Unfortunate for the Irishman, I think he must have had a massive spin going around the long right-hand of turn 12. So very unfortunate for him as Brie makes his way into the pits. V5, his teammate, has stayed out as E2 and Bones have just traded places. So E2 already making that move on the guys that are still yet to make any sort of pit stops, and so is Black Panther. So Black Panther now into P9. E2 really wants to try and stay with the Renault, as I think these guys are actually a net sort of P4, P5, if I'm, sorry, P5, P6 if I'm not mistaken, because I mean Coop's already come in and out of the pits, and he's already emerged up ahead of Black Panther, where Black Panther was stuck in quite a bit of traffic. Obviously Coop didn't have any traffic, so he's managed to actually jump Black Panther and E2, and of course these guys are all going to be going to the end of the race on the set of hard tyres. As just watching on with Jake and Mr. Anchor. Mr. Anchor is a bit closer this time actually. Can he go for some sort of move on the Brit of Jake in towards turn 1? I don't think, again, he's going to be close enough to getting any sort of move done. So Jake is just going to stay up ahead of him for now. Unless he was to absolutely send one down the inside, but he doesn't. As XE, one of the final ones to make a pit stop, he is sitting in he's now down in P10. And I think he's probably going to emerge out where around O'Hardy is in P15, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, he might even emerge out by where Brie is. Very interesting. But a little bit of a change there. E2 getting past Coop. So, in fact, Black Panther and E2 getting past the racing point. I don't know what had happened there, but Bones just trying to fight with Sven. Sven is going to be going to the end of the race on these sets of hard tyres. Whereas Bones, again, one of the last ones to make a pit stop. I'm assuming Bones on the set of the mediums is probably going to be coming into the pits this lap. But still just up ahead, Jake and Mr. Anchor still very close together. The gap between Onyx and those two, as Onyx picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. Onyx, he's doing an amazing job. He's even got that even more now. It's 21 seconds up ahead of those guys. As Brie picks himself up a 3-second time penalty as well. But V5, he does make his way into the pits. This final points position here. Bones, does he go to the pits? Yes, he does. So the Brit now into the pits as well. Now it's just waiting for the other hard runners. So Onyx, Warren, and Gilzo, along with Frey, I believe, to make their sort of pit stops. And Sven now trying to go down the inside of Vallejo in towards turn 1. In fact, I think Vallejo just sort of gave that one up, because I remembered as well, Vallejo is trying to do a 2-stop strategy to the end of the race. So he is on a set of the mediums at the moment. He's sitting in P10, but when he does make that pit stop again, he will emerge out sort of around where E10 do, and maybe even where Bag of Bones is. when he does come in for the final stop, but he will be on the softer compound of tyres compared to everybody else around him. So he may try and capitalise on that opportunity. But sitting down in for P6 at the moment, Black Panther doing a very good job at the moment. Of course, Warren and Onyx still yet to make their pit stops. Onyx, I mean, as Diamond said in the chat, Hards doesn't have a drop-off. So, I mean, he's... I can see that they're not dropping off whatsoever. He's still 21 seconds up ahead of the other two VSR lads. So when he does make his pit stop, there's definitely going to be something that goes on, as Mr. Anchor's gotten that move done down the inside of Jake in towards turn 1. So Mr. Anchor, I will say at the moment, it is the net lead of the race. However, that is definitely subject to change, especially with Onyx, of how he is coping on at the moment. But 21.6 seconds splits the Finn and the Dutchman, as E2 and Black Panther has just changed positions in the background. In fact, it looks like that battle is not over as of yet, as Black Panther may be trying to get any sort of move done on the Finn back in towards turn 4. No, he does just remain behind him for now. It would be stupid for him to try and get any sort of move done at the moment, as he will have another DRS zone coming up very shortly. Sorry, I've not been able to catch much of the action either. It's just there's been so many battles where it's been so close with each other. It's just been difficult trying to keep any sort of battles that are going on. But DRS now wide, open for the Belgian in the Renault. Still not close enough to getting any move done on the Finn of E2. As Warren, he's taking the gamble now. He's gone straight into the pits as Mr. Anchor has set the fastest lap of the race. Warren going on a set of the mediums, more than likely going to be until the end of the race. Very risky for the Brit. But I suspect he should just about be able to do it. But it is going to be very risky for him, as just in the back you can see Coop trying to go for a move on Black Panther. Black Panther has also got the DRS, but Coop chucking it into overtake now. You can see he's closing up to the Belgian. It's a Brit versus a Belgian versus a Dutch. Both still side by side in towards turn 1 and turn 2. Both given enough space. The Black Panther just, I think, having a little bit of a wiggle and has completely cut turn 2, and that's allowed Coop to go ahead of him. Coop now just defending the inside in towards turn 4 and keeping that position, as Mr. Anchor has also picked himself up a 3-second time penalty. So him and Onyx both with time penalties. I think Jake might have picked one up as well. I'm not too sure. Try and see if I can keep an eye on it, or if there's a safety car, I will take a look at the penalties. But I don't want to miss any of the action, so I never tend to look at any of the penalties going at the moment. But DRS now wide open for the Dutchman on the Finn of E2. Of course, nowhere near getting any sort of move done on him, so just remain down in P7 for now. But there are yellow flags, and it isn't AlphaTauri. Is that Bones? It is. I don't know what's happened to him, but he looks like he's had an absolute off into turn 4. May have just sort of gotten a bit too much oversteer going through it, and unfortunately has gone off. A little bit further up though, Vallejo on that 2-stop strategy, going past Venn down and inside in towards turn 1. I think this is really where we're going to just see the majority of the overtakes go down, as Vallejo now into P9, but again he's still got to make another stop, because I don't suspect he's going to try and take these mediums 25 laps. I think what we're all waiting to see as well is Onyx make his way into the pits and see where he emerges out with all of these VSR lads. Although from what I'm thinking, I think he'll actually emerge in front of the two of them. So Onyx might be going into the... I think Onyx is actually in the net lead of the race right now. Yeah, it's looking like he is. Still though, we've got a few battles that are going on at the moment. It's of course sort of died down a little bit because of guys, everyone's now made their pit stops. Of course, we've still got this battle that we're on board with for P9 and P10. Of course, we've also got the battle up ahead for P6, as Dylan Warren actually has set himself the fastest lap off the race, doing a 17.5, as Vallejo goes into the pits. So this is his second stop. So he's going on a set of mediums to the end of the race. As now we'll go back on board with this battle for P6, as Frey just getting out of the way of all of those guys. I think E2 managed to get a bit of DRS off of Frey to just remain up ahead of Coop and Black Panther. But E2, I know he's dropped down 2 places, of course, with Onyx and Warren moving themselves up, but he's driven a stellar race so far. I don't think he's done any sort of fault at the moment. Just driving how he is and sitting in P6. But Warren, of course, on the set of the mediums, compared to Dan in P4 at the moment on the set of the hards, 5.5 seconds splits them, as Frey picking up a 3-second time penalty, but 5.5 seconds splitting them. And Jake, he's just looking like he's dropping off from Mr. Anchor. Mr. Anchor's just looking a lot more comfortable on a set of the hards, and Jake hasn't even got the DRS to him. So Mr. Anchor has managed to push it that far to the point where Jake is now not even in DRS. As we still have got this battle going on here for P6. Black Panther looks like he's actually dropped off from these two a little bit, and I don't think he's got any sort of DRS. He doesn't. So Coop, I don't know how he's managed to do it, but he's managed to get out of DRS from Black Panther. He must have made a bit of a mistake going through that final sector. As Coop now closing into the back of E2, he doesn't need to worry about behind him anymore, as Gilzo, the second hard runner to make his way into the pits. I said he'll emerge sort of around where Tendu would be, but I think he's come out way behind him actually. As Onyx, this is what we're waiting to see. He's made his way into the pits now. These top two, or I say the top two, Mr. Anchor, Jake, where is he going to emerge from when these guys, when he comes out of the pits? He's gone on a set of the mediums to the end of the race, so he's only going to take these 12 laps, so he's going to be able to push to the end of the race. Those two have just made their way around the final corner now, as Onyx out of his pit box. These two are nowhere to be seen. He's already in the lead of the race, despite making that pit stop right now. So he's managed to get that gap, and is now in the lead of the race on a fresher compound tyre. All Onyx is going to be hoping is there's no safety car. As long as he keeps it on track, which he's doing a stellar job at the moment, I think that's race win for him on his return to the league. Well, that's Onyx is more than likely going to be taking a win from P14 on the grid. As I said, as long as there's no other safety cars or anything like that coming in, as O'Harley picking up a 5-second stop go for speed in the pit lane on the set of the hards, he's come in, he's retired from the session. He must have gotten himself more wing damage, unfortunate for the Brit, as he was on for a set of points, but I think he and WF Gaming are still yet to pick up any sort of points for the Ferrari team. And they are the only two that have unfortunately retired from the session so far, both in the pit lane. But a little bit further down, we are looking on board with V5 and Exy. Both of these guys fighting for P10. It is still points position for the both of them. As I said, top 12 are the ones receiving points. It's just a difference. It's just a 1 point between 10th and 11th, or sorry, 12th up to 8th. It goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So Black Panther is the one receiving 5 points at the moment. Sven with 4, Exy with 3, V5 with 2, and Bree with 1. And with these two guys, actually, I think they're relatively close in the championship. If I'm not mistaken, V5 was actually tied with, I can't remember who it was in the championship. It might have been Exy, actually. No, if I think about it, it might have been Exy. But it's interesting how it's going so far. Exy just doing a good job of keeping up ahead of two of the Mercedes at the moment, both in P11 and P12. They are getting themselves some points, as O'Hardy, unfortunately, leaving the session. As if I'm not mistaken, I think this will be the first double points for the Mercedes lads. I don't know if they picked up double points in Zandvoort. I'll have to have another double check. But if I'm not mistaken, I think this will be the first points for both V5 and Bree in the same race. I think where they've picked up points has just been in completely different races, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have a quick double check on that, just to make sure that is correct or not. But Onyx, there you go. He's 16.6. He's already 4 seconds up ahead of Mr. Anchor. As I said, I think this is already a race win for him. But we'll wait and see towards the end of the race if there is a safety car. then that's where things could spice it up. But this battle for P2 doesn't look anywhere short of over between Mr. Anchor and Jake. He has managed to catch back up to get that DRS off of Mr. Anchor once again. But battle for P6 is where it's about to go down. E2 trying to go defensive on Coop in towards turn 1. E2 moving and then moving back onto the racing line. And then into the braking zone. Oh, Coop trying to go for a bit of a switchback, but a little bit too much oversteer in towards turn 2 to the entrance of turn 3. It just didn't allow him to get that move done that he wanted to do, as he tended to gone into the pits on a set of the hards. Is he going to retire, or is he going to try and go for a bit of a faster lap? As Xe and V5 are now both side by side. Xe and V5 going side by side through turn 1 and turn 2. Now into turn 3. V5 does have the outside line, getting that move done around the outside. Now Bree's trying to have a bit of a look on the German in towards turn 4. Bree just sending that straight up the inside of the German. Unfortunate for Xe, losing 2 places in sector 1. So Xe now he is still in the points. He is now going to only receive just the 1 point as opposed to the 3 that he was just in. But I feel like V5 sort of timed that perfectly to allow Bree to then get past and put him a car between the pair of them. But Xe, he is going to have the DRS, but he just didn't look like he got the run in comparison to what the 2 Mercedes have. And now already, I think they are starting to gap him a bit. But Coop, maybe he's going to try and have another attempt on the fin of E2 for P6. No, he does have to stay behind him for now. He's not close enough to getting any sort of move done. As you can see, it's just Frey's Ghost just going in and out everywhere at the moment. It's not going to be good for Coop, however. And it is in the rules that the guy, if one of the guys are sort of ghosting, they do really need to move out of the way, especially if they're battling. So I'm surprised Frey hasn't moved out of the way for these guys. So it could be a bit of a penalty coming on a bit later on in, well, after the race, shall I say, once the stewards have been notified of it. Just taking a look at it though, I think where Frey's Ghost has been, why Frey's Ghost is there, Black Panther has started to close up to the back of Coop. I think it's where it's put him off quite a bit. I think Coop's just been sort of losing a bit of time. It's allowing Black Panther to catch up, and it's allowing E2 to get away. Well, they're saying that Black Panther got a very bad exit out of the final corner, or out of the final chicane, sorry, into the final corner, as Frey, I think, just going straight past E2, getting the move done. But as I said, it's not exactly good for a Ghost car to do that, because it can sort of impede their vision a little bit. But nonetheless, Coop still maintaining his position behind E2. Still very good battle going on between these 2 guys here. As Warren, look how close he is now to the back of Dan. He's on 7-lap old mediums. With 8 laps to go of the race, so he's going to be trying to take these 15 laps, as opposed to as opposed to Onyx taking those for 12 laps. As saying that, Black Panther picking himself up a 3-second time penalty. I think that's his second one. As Bones coming into the pit to unfortunately retire from the session. It was looking like it was going to work out so well for the Brit, and then unfortunately having that spin at turn 4, it's just putting back, and also having that moment up the hill on the right hand side. But I've got to think that E2 is probably thinking that it's very annoying that Frey is just in front of him. But E2 does have the DRS off it, so it's allowing him to stay up ahead of Coop and Black Panther. Not a sight I don't think he would want, what these 2 guys behind him would want to see, but from Frey staying up ahead, I think it's also going to impede E2 a bit, and that's not exactly what we want to happen, as he does touch the grass ever so slightly. But I'm going to go on board with Warren, as he's already caught up to the back of Dan, as there's still more yellows. I think that's Bones' retired car. For some reason, it's made its way out of the pits. I'm too sure as to why, but yeah, Warren very close to the back of Dan. I don't know what Dan's going to try and do to make any sort of defensive maneuvers on Warren, but he will have the DRS on Mr. Excelling, or Excelling, should I say. But we got DRS wide open for the Brit in the Red Bull. Not close enough to getting any sort of move done on him, and him being on now on 9-lap-old mediums, they may start to be dying off quite a bit. Dan, he started on a set of the mediums. He's now only on 13-lap-old hard tyres. And I feel like that he might be able to, he's still going to be able to push it to the end of the race. So it could work out very well for Dan coming towards the end of the race, as Frey is still giving DRS to E2, and it's not allowing Coop or Black Panther to getting through or to getting any sort of move done on the fin up ahead of him. And it looks like we might see a little bit of a scrap for the final points position, as Vallejo very close to the back of Exy. He did go for a 2-stop, did Vallejo, but he's actually gone on a set of the hard, so he mustn't have obviously had another set of mediums that he could go on to take to the end of the race. So he's opted for the hards, interestingly enough, as he too now doesn't actually have DRS, as Frey is now only just behind him. But just looking a bit further up on the field, Warren still not close enough to get any sort of move done on Dan or Excelling. He's still only 5 tenths behind him, and as I said, I think this is where Warren's medium tyres are starting to drop off in comparison to Dan's hards, where they don't particularly drop off. And I think Warren, he may start to struggle coming towards the end of the race. As I said, 15 laps on these mediums. Of course, he will have less tyre ding than the guys that started on the set of the mediums at the beginning of the race. As Vallejo now alongside Exy for the final points position. As I said, it's the top 12 that get points. Exy trying to keep it around the outside from the Finn in the McLaren, both still side by side. Tiny little bit of contact between the pair of them, but still managed to keep it going. Both still side by side. Exy, he's going to have a bit more of a run in comparison to Vallejo, keeps that position. However, Vallejo, is he going to try and have a bit of a look into turn 4? He does. Both still side by side. Vallejo still keeping it down the inside and getting that move done on the German of Exy. So Vallejo now into P12. Although, however, he makes a bit of a mistake going a little bit wide coming out of turn 5. And now Exy trying to go back down the inside in towards turn 6 and turn 7. Very tight chicane to be trying to go side by side with, as Vallejo has actually picked himself up a 3-second time penalty, but has managed to maintain that position on Exy. And a little bit further up as well, Dan has been overtaken by Warren going down in towards turn 1. So Dan now down into P5. Oh, and Dan, he's round. He's actually gone round and has actually spun it into the wall as Onyx picks himself up yet another 3-second time penalty. And Dan, it was looking so promising for him. He's got wing damage, but he can come into the pits and he can still salvage P5 from this, because once he's come into the pits, changed his wing, put on a fresh set of probably soft tyres, he's going to have all of these guys that are up ahead of him on a set of the hards. He needs to do some absolute amazing overtakes to try and get, well, to still get P5, but at the moment, I think E2 is in a bit of a power position to get P5. But very unfortunate for Dan, because that's not what he wanted to, well, getting overtaken by Warren. I must have touched the inside grass at one point and just out, it's just gone round. But we have still got this battle going on for the final points position. We've also still got the battle going on at P6 and even for P2 as well, as Jake is just still keeping tabs with Mr. Anchor for now. In fact, you know what? I'm going to have a look at the pens. Why not? Why not? So, let's have a look. Onyx. I know he's gotten 2 penalties. He does indeed. So 2 penalties for the Dutchman. He wants to try and avoid getting a 3rd. Mr. Anchor, I know he has a penalty. Does he have 2 though? No, he only has the 1. So that's probably why Jake is staying behind him, as Jake has 3 warnings, but I think in one of them must have been a collision, maybe in a first lap or something. So Jake without a penalty at the moment, so that's probably why he's just keeping tabs with Mr. Anchor. Mr. Dylan Warren, has 2 warnings. He got a second warning on the last lap that has just gone. Dan, only the 1 warning, but of course he's more than likely going to need to make his way into the pits. Oh, is he stayed out? He stayed out. So Dan, I mean, to be fair, he's got the gap to try and keep up ahead of him, and especially with E2 having 2 sets of penalties, he could still salvage P5 from that, to be fair to him. But E2 in 6th, as I said, 6 seconds of penalties. Coop just behind him, only 2 warnings, so Coop could actually potentially get P5 from it, depending on how Dan does towards the end of the race. Black Panther, 2 penalties as well. Sven, only the 1 warning. V5 has 1 penalty. Bree, 1 penalty. And Vallejo, 2 penalties, 3 penalties, 4 penalties for the Finn, as Gilzo has just picked himself up a penalty as well. So we could be seeing quite a lot of changes going up and down at the field, as Dan now 10 seconds behind Warren. This battle's still going on. I think at the moment Dan is really hoping that E2 and Coop do battle as much as they can, so then he can maintain that P5 position. Although if he does get a 3-second time penalty, he may need to get a bit more feistier. I know it's easier said than done, especially with broken wing, but I think Dan is really hoping that E2 doesn't get, Coop doesn't get past E2, as we're on the penultimate lap of the race now. Onyx has just driven an absolute stellar race so far, starting down in P14 on the first lap, moving himself up 7 or 8 positions, along with Warren as well at the beginning. But Onyx just absolutely, well, ever since he moved up in those positions, then he's just made his way up and up and up. And he's now, of course, in the lead of the race, almost 9 seconds up ahead of Mr. Anchor and Jake. But here we go, the battle for P6. E2 trying to keep it covered on the inside, as Coop just going around the outside in toward before even getting to turn 1, getting that move done. E2 just slots straight back into his DRS. However, Coop very low on his ERS usage, and I've just seen that pop up in the bottom right. It is popping up constantly. Very low on fuel as well, so he's going to be doing a little bit of fuel saving and energy saving. Whereas E2, if I'm not mistaken, he's still got quite a bit. And I don't know about Black Panther either, but I mean, Coop, he was going to get past E2 anyway in penalties, but I'm assuming he just wanted to do it on track, so very good job from him indeed. But final lap of the race now, and Jake, still no progress on getting past Mr. Anchor. These two have just been sort of following each other throughout the entire race, as Gilzo's actually gotten past Vallejo for the final points position, so the Irishman has managed to salvage himself at least 1 point. However, I didn't check his penalties, so I don't know if he's got more than what X he has or what. I know Vallejo's got quite a bit of penalties. I think it was 12 seconds, so I know he's going to be more than likely out of that top 12 no matter what. But this man on your screen right now, as I said, I don't think he's actually had any sort of fault in the race. Of course, he did pick himself up 2 3-second time penalties, but he's done an absolutely amazing job to stay up ahead of the other guys, especially from P14 to P1 on the grid. Now he's just got 1 more corner to go as he makes his way around the final corner. Onyx, congratulations, he takes the win from Mr. Anchor. He is the first one, or he's now the second race winner in the PC tier of the League of Europe. He takes the win ahead of Mr. Anchor in P2. However, he's going to drop down to P3 as Jake does pick up P2 in the end. 5 seconds behind Onyx as a VSR 1-2-3 as BDG Warren now just must have been a bit of a boring race for him, as he's just making his way up towards the line now. He does come home to finish in P4 as he just decides to try and total his car. Speaking of totaled cars, Dan, that front right end plate, he didn't end up pitting in the end, and it's looking like it's actually paid off for him, as he's just going to make his way around the final corner to come home and finish in P5. Again, not a particular race that I think he would have wanted as Coop. coming around the final corner as well. He finishes in P62, in P7. Black Panther does finish in P8 in the end, so they did have the same amount of penalties. Sven looks like he's going to come home and finish in P9, as XE, Tendo and Frey have also all finished their race as well. XE, Tendo and Frey, no points unfortunately for them, but Sven does finish in P9. V5 looks like he will keep P10, as Bree coming along the line, P11, Gilzo P12, and Vallejo P13. So it is how exactly it finished. The only one that actually got jumped was Mr. Anchor for P2 to P3. But there you go. Actually, it's well deserved. I don't think anybody else can get driver of the day from that. I think Onyx fully deserved. No doubt about it. But as I said, it's a VSR 1-2-3, and for once, Mr. Anchor is not the one that's actually sitting on the top step of it. It is the man who has returned to the league. It is Mr. VSR Onyx taking the win. Psych. He gave Mr. Anchor a good run for his money. He's done it for the past 2 races, but now he's got another VSR challenger he needs to try and beat. And it will be, because as I said at the beginning of the stream, Normans is going to be dropping down. It is going to be now his future teammate he's going to need to try and beat. So it's going to be a tight one. But as I said, there is the final classifications for the Catalunya Grand Prix. It is Onyx taking the win with Jake in second, Mr. Anchor in third, as I said, a VSR 1-2-3. Warren taking P4 with Dan in P5, Coop in 6th with E2 in 7th, Black Panther in P8, Sven in P9, V5, moving his way from 17th actually up into P10, so good result from the man in the Merc. Bree in P11, Gilzo managed to pick up the final points position with Vallejo in P13, XE, Tender and Frey all got laps, finished in P14, 15 and 16 respectively, and then our unfortunate non-finishers were both Bag of Bones and the 2 Ferraris of O Hardy and WF Gaming. Again, unfortunate for all of those guys. I think it's just the race didn't go their way this weekend. Hopefully they can bounce back next week for Azerbaijan. I know it's a bit of a controversial circuit. I, for one, do not like it, but it definitely always produces some very great racing. But that is the race for the PC tier for the League of Europe this evening. Thank you everyone for tuning in to that one. Make sure you guys do catch PS4 tomorrow. Division 1, Division 3 and Division 4 all at 6:40 PM UK time, and Division 2 and Division 5 at 8 PM UK time, same as time as what the stream has started this evening. Thank you everyone for watching, and I will catch you guys next week for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.